So don't know how well you can see me, but yeah. So first thing in the morning, excuse the hat with the microphone attached to my ear, and not to my ear, to my hat over my ear. um, yeah. Decision number one last night was, where do I park up? And I have several parking places. One is here, Undercliff Drive. Another one is up on Ventnor Downs on the Isle of Wight, which is owned by the National Trust. Don't tell them I park there overnight. They won't approve. I've got another couple of places around Ventnor, but it's one of the first challenges is, where do you park up overnight? If you live in a tiny little car, you need to be fairly inconspicuous, I think. That's why I avoid big motorhomes with which are obvious, with sheets over the windows, deflectors and privacy kind of thingies over the windows. I avoid all that sort of stuff because it just makes it obvious that you're actually in a vehicle, so you're in privacy but you're obvious, ironically. To have a little curtain here though, my little curtain line, I'll put the window back up and that holds this bit of string basically over there, if you can see it. Don't know if it's in the camera or not. And then I pull the little curtain across, as you may be able to see on the camera. I'll see when I'm editing this, and that gives me my privacy, all the privacy I need. It's a bit of a cluttered mess. So one of the next tasks I have first thing in the morning is to drag everything that I've stuck on this driver's seat, drag it all back onto the bed, which I sleep on. I removed the passenger seat, as you can see, so I've got the driver's seat still, obviously. What a cluttered mess that is. It's a very small car to put you back on my head. So yeah, when I park up in the evening, I have to drag everything from the bed, which is stored during the day on the bed, back onto the driver's seat. Then I can clamber out onto the driver's seat. I make a cup of coffee just as I'm getting up out of bed. So I use a jet boil gas stove, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend unless you use very small, low gas cartons, gas cylinders. I use quite tall ones, which means the whole jet boil stands quite tall. And it's a bit rocky and not safe really in a little vehicle like this. I wouldn't recommend using gas stoves in a vehicle. Maybe in a bigger van, as long as it's very well ventilated. I wouldn't recommend in a little tiny car like this, but it's what I do. Another option, which I've got here somewhere, is heating elements. If you go on Amazon, you can buy these little, they're like a kettle element that you get in a kettle, which you can plug into the old what are these called, the lighter socket in the car. Plug it into there and then put the heating element into your kind of milk and water, or I use oat milk and water, run the engine and heat up, and then you obviously have the coffee pad and you've got a cup of coffee. I'd recommend those heating elements rather than this one, as long as you can find one on Amazon that's reasonably safe. Let's go for a walk. Oh, unlock the door, wind the window up. Well, it's a lovely morning, I'll say that. So I'm sure you will agree. So yeah, as I said, this is my little tiny Citroen C1. So it's just 2 doors in the front and obviously the back. I've got this stuff over the windows. I did say don't use this. I've got this. I'm going to blacken it out, put some black material over between the metal type sheet stuff. This is just what you put at the back of kind of heaters in, or boilers or whatever, to deflect the heat out away from the walls. It's really good. Get it on Amazon for about £6 a big sheet. Just cut it up and put it over the windows to give me some privacy inside. And like I said, I then have a little curtain which basically goes along the back edge of the driver's seat and where the passenger seat was, and that gives me some privacy. And if you stand back, you cannot see into there, especially because overnight you get the condensation on the windows, which makes it obvious there's somebody in there, probably, to anyone who's thinking about it and looking, and gives me some privacy when I'm getting up in the morning especially. But I'm not overly concerned about that, and I was initially. I was quite paranoid about being in a vehicle 7, 8 years ago when I first moved into the Bilingo, I used to be very sneaky and try to avoid being seen getting in and out of the back of the vehicle. These days, I really don't care. Wherever I am, I'm just go about my daily routine and don't care if people notice what I'm doing. Anyway, let's go for a walk. So my YouTube channel is a big part of my daily routine. A little part in terms of earning any income. It's about £1 a day at the moment, I suppose. Whoopee, from ad revenue, that is. But yeah, part of my daily routine is obviously recording these videos first thing in the morning. Well, during the day as well. But I love nature, so I will usually get up quite early. 7:51 now. It's not that early. And have a walk. And the wonderful thing about where I am, where I'm choosing to live my nomadic lifestyle, not very nomadic. Great thing about where I live is you've got these beautiful walks right by the sea. The sea is only over there. And this is a very sheltered undercliff, which is, as I said, this was an A road, but because landslips took out 2 sections of the road just ahead of us, you get very little traffic now. You've just got the people that live along here, and a few people that blunder along here, haven't read the road signs. It says road close ahead, so they still drive up and down, meet the dead end, and the odd sightseer basically driving backwards and forwards, and then you've got the joggers and the cyclists and the odd dog walker. It's remarkably few dog walkers go up and down here. But it does provide a beautiful early morning walk, because I love red squirrels. There's lots of red squirrels along here, and really nice for birds. So I love bird watching. Birding, as we call it, in the more serious clique of people that are into birds. I couldn't think of a better way to spend the morning walking up and down here. And as the seasons change, that's just breathtaking. You know, in spring, it's alive with the woodpeckers because there's loads of dead wood along here. The ash dieback and the old sycamores with rot holes and that means you've got loads and loads of... Oh, what's that bird? Oh, there comes one of the rare... Well, it's one of the regulars. One of the rare vehicles going along. There's a little bird there. What was I saying? Yeah, all the rot holes means you've got lots of green woodpeckers and great spotted woodpeckers. And in spring, they're all being very territorial, hammering away at the wood, yaffling and calling to each other. And for a few weeks in spring, I don't know, when would it be? March, April, I suppose. Look back at some of my old videos when I'm walking along here and you'll hear the woodpeckers. It's just breathtaking. So let's see if we can see anything. What I'm looking for, this is a particularly good little corner just here, a little spot. Because I'm pretty sure they must have feeders in their gardens, which you can't see. There's always lots of birds gathered in this tree line. So that's the inner cliff over there. So it's not a woodland, it's just a strip of sycamores against the cliff face, and right up there is the top of the cliff. Down here's the bottom. And it creates a lovely sheltered shelf basically. So we're looking north now, so any northerly wind, you're very sheltered. It creates a lovely microclimate. Whenever it's sunny in winter down here, it's really warm. It doesn't really get frosty down here. Don't really get snow. Just up there on the summit, which is quite high, you get deep snow, but down here it doesn't really settle. Or if it does, it soon melts. So yeah, I'm looking out for basically long-tailed tits, great tits, blue tits, and in amongst them there's long-tailed tits there. They always seem to be here. It's really weird, every morning. Yeah, looking for those, and then looking with them for gold crests, fire crests, chiff-chaff, still a few of those. There's a jay calling, and there might be something rare in amongst them, you never know, like a yellow-browed warbler. One of the little prizes I'm looking for is a Pallas's warbler, both from Southeast Asia, yellow-browed and Pallas's warbler, and kind of Russian taiga forests, those kind of habitats, I think. Yeah. Two of the locals walking their dog. What a beautiful morning though. Morning, you alright? There's the inner cliff face up there. You can see it's a big chalk cliff, or it's green sand capped by chalk, with holm oaks spreading like mad. There are big old sycamores down here. So after my little walk along here, what I would do is drive back into Ventnor. And I've got a little routine basically. When I'm on the island, obviously I'm nomadic, so I've been on the Isle of Wight for quite a while over the summer, but also working in Dorset. So I would go down to the cafe for 9 o'clock, my first cafe. As I said, I've got a little routine here on the island when I'm here, and I do the same thing every day basically. So I go down to Besties and Spinkies, start some work. So I'm doing a project in Dorset, which obviously it's an employed job, remote working though. So I do a lot of the writing, report writing here when I'm on the island, and then go to do site visits and meetings and that in Dorset when I need to, which I will be doing this week. Stay tuned for that. Yeah, so get to the cafe for 9 AM, start writing on my little iPad with Magic Keyboard, which is my workhorse, my main bit of computer gear, and I could do everything on that. That's just a marvellous piece of technology for a digital nomad. Is a little 11-inch iPad Pro, which is a skinny one, a really thin iPad. And now that the new operating system, iOS 26 or whatever it's called, is superb. It's just transformed the iPad into a mini MacBook to such an extent that I've now stopped using my MacBook Air, which was on its last legs anyway, and I've replaced it with the iPad Pro. Not a cheap exchange, but yeah, that is my workhorse. I edit all my videos on there, I do my writing, I write books. I do obviously the project work in Dorset, which involves writing reports and doing spreadsheets and what have you. So yeah, I get to the cafe, start writing. I'm in there until about 11 in the morning. Blue tit. Some magpies, and then I have a quick half-hour walk after that. Put all my gear back in the car, have a quick half-hour walk, come back to the car, pick my gear up again, and go to another cafe and start working again. I do rely on cafes because I don't have a house or an office. Obviously, I'm in a tiny little car. It's quite a worthwhile point making actually. Is I don't live in the car, I live from it. So it's effectively like a big tent. You don't live in a tent as such, you sleep in a tent, and then you get out of the tent and do whatever it is you do during your day. And I do that with the car. It's basically my big, slightly oversized tent, in which I can also cook. So I do eat during the day. I tend to get a cooked breakfast, or I will get a cooked breakfast, a couple of times a week in a local cafe. I do get a discount for that because I'm a local and because they're friends and they're very kind. So yeah, I'll often eat a cooked brekkie in a local cafe, and then in the evenings I cook a main meal, and I do cook that in the car, believe it or not. I've got a little gas stove, gas again, not the jet boil, different stove, and one pan. It's like a frying pan with a bigger lip or bigger side to it, so it's quite tall edges. And I can cook everything in that, so I tend to fry chicken and make curries and make anything that you can fry the chicken and fry up vegetables. So basically stir fries is my main staple diet. I was vegetarian for a while and I'm probably going to go vegetarian again. There's a lovely inner cliff face there. What's around? What's around? Come on, little ones. Let's see some squirrel action. Comes a cyclist. You can see how peaceful it is along here and why I park along here. You don't get the through traffic overnight. I very rarely hear any traffic at all overnight. And you get the dawn chorus. In spring, get a little bit of bird song, so I normally have a robin singing directly outside the car where I park in the morning, which is rather nice. You're very much closer to the elements living in a vehicle. The rain pounding on the roof of the car is very therapeutic, I find it. I should say, in terms of my kind of background, how I actually came to be living in a car rather than being normal, like I'm sure you are watching the video. So I lived conventionally, so to speak, in a house for 40 odd years, in employment, doing the normal stuff. What I didn't do was ever buy a house. So I stored stuff in my mum and dad's house here in Ventnor on the Isle of Wight, and I rented lovely magpie up there. Sorry, a jay up there. Yeah, so I would have shared rooms basically in houses with other people whilst I was doing the university thing. So all living very conventionally. I did a master's and started PhD at university, and I was in quite well paid employment for several decades. And then during it's before COVID, I think it was February 2018, I decided to, I was thinking, because I was down at the University of Exeter, Penryn campus, which is actually in Cornwall rather than Devon. I was looking around February 2018. There was a snow blizzard. I was staying at a hostel at the time, as in a backpackers hostel. It's getting quite expensive overnight. It costs about £25 a night. Quite expensive for what I like to pay anyway. And I thought, shall I go into shared housing again? Rent a room in a house? I had a look at a place that was, I think it was about £600 a month plus bills, and the landlady or the owner of the backpackers mentioned that she was selling a little van, a little Berlingo, for £600, the same amount of money. And she said, well, she has a little bit of foam in the back because she was a surfer and she would go around Cornish surf beaches and just crash in her van overnight. Sleep in her van overnight, not crash in it. And she kind of said, well, lots of people do actually live in their vehicles in Cornwall. Van life is a thing. I didn't know anything about it at the time. And there and then I bought the van. I ran down to Traco Mills, got a gas stove, got a duvet. I think I got a sleeping bag and a duvet, because there was a snow blizzard, believe it or not, in Cornwall at the time. Lots of ice on the paths. I chucked all of that in the van. It already had its foam mattressy type thing on the bed of the van, and I slept in there overnight. February 2018. There was ice in the morning when I woke up. There's ice inside the windscreen, and I loved it. That first night was just superb, and I've been in a vehicle ever since. That Berlingo, that £600 Berlingo, was my home for 6 years. Can you believe that, eh? So I went from a very conventional lifestyle, well, fairly conventional. I was living in a in shared housing with basically other students, other postgraduate students doing PhDs and masters and what have you. And then in that backpackers, which was quite nice really. It's quite a nice turnover. Lots of birds here because it's got the feeders in the garden. I've kind of walked further than I intended, but it's a lovely morning. What's the time now? 5 minutes past 8. Moved into the Berlingo, did it up a bit, built a little bench type thing in the back for the bed to hold the bed up with some storage underneath it. Built a little shelving unit along one edge, and I had my little home. And I love that little Berlingo. It served me very well until probably the last year of its life, when it gradually started to go wrong, and then it went completely wrong, and I said it kind of imploded on me. And then I was basically homeless for 4 or 5 months, and that implosion occurred late in the year, a couple of years ago. Can't remember, I think it was 2023 or something. No, hang on, we're 2026, so 2024 probably. End of the year, so it was cold and wet and horrible. I was in Ventnor, and my Berlingo conked out and couldn't be driven, so I was stranded and effectively homeless. I got it towed up to Soapsuds Alley in Ventnor on the Isle of Wight, and it was parked there for a while, and I crashed in the back of this stranded vehicle and had to walk up and down. I got all this on video, so it's all on my channel. And then I couldn't stand doing that walking up and down anymore during the very cold winter. So a friend down in Ventnor Bay suggested I crash in basically a shed that she owned, which I did for a month or two. I got COVID during that time. I was it was pretty grim for a week or two. But I survived. Morning. I survived, as they say. And secretly I quite enjoyed it. There was a cat. There's still a cat, Benny, who lived in the museum there, who would come and sleep with me at night. So I had a cat. I was in a hut or in a shed type thing. It's more than a shed, it's a building. It's like a big oversized kind of mechanics type thing, garage or workshop, if you can picture that. That isn't what it actually is, but it's kind of like that, just you can visualize what it was like a mechanics workshop or something. And I slept on the concrete floor there with the cat in my bivvy. So I set up a bivvy with a mattress and camping mattress and duvet and sleeping bag, and it was very snug. Right, we're going to walk back to the car now. And I enjoyed that. And then another friend of mine down in Ventnor Bay sold me his Citroen C1 for, I think it's 450 quid. And I've been in that now for 2 years. We're approaching 2 years. The end of this year, 2025, will be my second anniversary of living in Flea, which is that tiny little car. So when I was younger, when I was actually living in that vehicle, in the shared rooms in houses, I was quite melancholy at times. It wasn't depression, it was just loneliness and a bit melancholic. Since moving into the vehicle, first the Berlingo, now the Citroen, I've been on top of the world in terms of my outlook and mental health. My mood has always been really high. It's really weird, and I don't get ill very often. I've got a persistent cough, so I probably need to go to a clinic and find out what that's all about. But apart from that, my actual state of mind is really healthy. And yeah, I don't really understand why that is. But it is what it is. I do like this garden because the squirrels quite often come down there. Don't want to hang around because it's their garden. Well, there's probably somebody in the house watching the birds on their feeders. So this is where the road here collapsed. Irreparable. So this was all a road here. They just put this cycleway and footpath in so people could still get through. If you carry on walking the way I was just walking then, before I turn back heading west, you'll get to St Catherine's Point and Knighton and the Buddle Inn. And you can just walk. It will take about 45 minutes from here to the Buddle Inn, I suppose, walking at a steady pace. You can cycle all the way through. I mean, what a cracking environment to live in. I'm amazed more van dwellers don't live here, to be honest. You can't get any reception on your phone, so if you're relying on mobile data, you can forget it down here. I don't know whether Starlink would work. If you had a Starlink receiver on your van, you might be able to get, I know nothing about that, but it's satellite based, isn't it? Rather than whatever it is that mobile phones use. Mast based pickup. So we're now heading back to the car. I normally try to leave from here at about 20 past, 8:30, so I can get down into the bay, go to the loo. Yeah, I do rely, so obviously I haven't got loos in my vehicle, and I haven't got a shower in my vehicle, so I do rely on public loos and cafe restrooms, or whatever you want to call them, toilets with sinks and the rest of it. All works pretty well. So like I say, I'm in employment at the moment, so I have a job. I'm being paid enough to be able to save currently. I'm accumulating money in my bank account to buy a bigger van, which will be something like a Ford, is it a Transit, high roof, short wheelbase thing, something that I can fit a shower into, a collapsible shower. I won't have a toilet in it because they're a pain in the backside, so to speak, to clean and keep them from ponging. So I will have a shower, but not a toilet. I'll just use public loos and cafe loos as I currently do. This is a lovely Sprinter van. So I think this is a long wheelbase, but this kind of van is what I want. Something very stealthy, no windows. That's a lovely van. I'd buy that if it was for sale. A little bit bigger than I'd hoped for, but yeah, so working and not spending very much money means I can save a bit, and I will be buying a bigger vehicle. So that'll be part of this channel soon, hopefully, is a van build. Oh, lots and lots of crests here. Get around the other side of them so I'm not looking into the sun. There's fire crests calling here. Quite common fire crests in the Undercliff because they breed here. What's up there? Because this camera's mounted on my head, I tend to move. It tends to move quite quickly because my head moves quite quickly. Lots and lots of birds. picture postcardy down here. Classic English village by the sea. He's got a Starlink on his roof over there. So he's got Starlink, which suggests it does work down here. There's a lovely fire crest there. It's a real shame this camera can't zoom into them. I'm using the DJI Nano camera, which is a little tiny one that you can clip onto your headband. It's a lovely little camera. It's not perfect. The whole internal memory thing is silly. I'll explain why that is in a review at some point. Right, let's walk on. Yeah, so I'm employed at the moment, which is enabling me to save up enough money to buy a van as soon as possible. But I'm also building up little side hustles. And that's what I work on most of the time during the day, when, between that and the employed work in Dorset. I write books, so I've got 10 books published so far on KDP, well, you can buy them on Amazon, you can buy them on any online bookshop. As an ebook, as a paperback, and several of them as hardcover books. There are links to all of my books in the description below this video. So that's one of my little side hustles. So what I'm doing basically is I'm employed, saving money, but at the same time I'm building up side hustles, which hopefully I can transition over to full-time eventually. So by the end of next year, 2026, I'm hoping my book writing and YouTube channel, or book sales and YouTube channel, and online courses I'll be creating, sponsorship, those kinds of things, I'm hoping will yield enough income daily to keep me going in my current lifestyle. My aim is about £30 a day, which is actually quite a lot. I can I can probably live on quite a bit less than that a day, but because I do silly things like buy cup brekkies in the cafe and buy coffees, I like supporting local businesses in that way, especially during the lean spring and autumn shoulder of the kind of tourist season, when there aren't that many people buying stuff. It's nice to go in there and spend money. If I wasn't doing that, I'd be able to spend a lot less a day. Don't know what I could get it down to, probably all included, including the vehicle tax and insurance and fuel for the vehicle. I don't know, £15 a day maybe half of what my current target is. Don't know what those wood pigeons are doing. Probably a peregrine around or something. Or a big sparrowhawk maybe taking out a wood pigeon. Big female. So yeah, my target is £30 a day. But I think I could live on £15 a day. So if my side hustles yield anything between £15 and £30 a day, then I should be able to live this lifestyle without having to be employed as such. I'll still be working because I'll be writing books, creating YouTube videos, creating online courses, managing sponsorship deals, that kind of stuff, and travelling around a lot to create videos. Currently my YouTube channel only yields about £1 a day. That's this one, which is monetised. That's from ad revenue. I do get very, very kind financial contributions from viewers as well. And if you wish to do that, there's a buymeacoffee.com link in the description below this video, and my PayPal link as well. That is always really appreciated. But from ad revenue, it's about £1 a day, and I probably need to get the YouTube up to £6-7 a day to begin to feel like it's working. The book revenue is a lot lower than that. So basically, on my side hustles aren't yielding any money at all at the moment. I've got until the end of 2026 for them to really start yielding enough money to live on. I'm very confident that is very possible. It's entirely possible, but I need to put a lot more work into video content creation and publicising my books. Like I said, I've already got 10 books written and published, so I'm building up a big back catalogue. By the end of 2026 I'll hopefully have 15 books, but I've not been advertising them apart from mentioning them on this YouTube channel. So I'm not surprised they're not selling at the moment. They will do though, once I've got time and headspace to invest in advertising and promotion, then the books will start to sell and the momentum will build. And also once I've got time and headspace to put into this video content creation, the viewers, the watch hours will begin to go up. Currently I'm kind of what's the word? Not bumbling along, but I'm on a level, just moving along with my YouTube channel on a level. I'm not upping my game on it at the moment because I'm very busy with this Dorset project. Anyway, let us get into a little car and head into Ventnor. Well, made it into Ventnor. It's quite lively, the sea, as you can see. It's always a time. I need to get to the cafe for 9 o'clock and it is 8:51. So I'll walk down there now, I think. Gotta love the lively sea, haven't you? So the raven is following me, but I tried to feed it just now, but the gull's got the food. There's a pair of them, or the pair of them, up on the bandstand thingy, Poo Palace. It looks like a bandstand, but it isn't. It's a Sea Clean White sewage pump. Delightful. Just walk around here quickly and then we'll head to Besties and Spinkies. So there's Poo Palace, the Southern Water Pump. All blocked off up the top, unfortunately, so you can't get up there anymore. And there's Ventnor Harbour, or Ventnor Haven, with the fishery building and the fishing boats. Right, I'm going to head to Besties and Spinkies, which is the blue building over there, for a cup of coffee. So doing a little bit of the laundry, there's a jet boil going, t-shirt, Ecover, with a view. So it's now 11:36. I've done a little bit of writing and a little bit of a YouTube video editing. So I'm now just going to have a walk along Ventnor seafront and then up Alma Road and see if there's any migrant birds around. You alright? One of the locals, local fishermen. Don't know. Is it going to rain today? Haven't a clue, I hope not. Red flags are up. I don't think they need to be today, to be honest. Oh, they probably do. It's quite rough. Where are we going? Let's put my microphone on my hat again. It's not scraping on my clothes. Everything's closed. Lady Scarlet's is closed. Golden Sands. It's all closed. Definitely has that winter feeling now. Sat in the water. Not entirely sure. Let's go up here anyway. This is Alma Road. It's part of my normal routine when I'm here in Ventnor. Stay in Besties until about 11 usually. I was there 11:30 today. Cup of coffee, then a cup of tea. Toast a Marmite today. Then I'll come for a walk. I won't really, well, I'm not going to sit in the car until probably later this afternoon. So it's literally, the car, as I said earlier, is literally somewhere I live from rather than in. If it was belting down with rain, I'd be in a cafe well, for as long as it's raining. Avoid getting drenched. It's one of the things about the car, living in a vehicle, is getting clothes dry. It's fine in the summer. In the winter though, it can be a real pain. But I hand wash all my clothes. I don't go to a laundry. I've got a couple of little plastic tubs in the car which I use for storage, but they also double up as something I can wash clothes in. Just boil water with a jet boil. Use Ecover laundry stuff. And then attempt to dry them in the sun when it's sunny. Yep. Right. Right. There's Ed going out on his fishing boat. Going offshore. Lots of work going on here. Phew. Gonna go up the top where it's a bit more sheltered, I think. Bless you. Did I put a little data thingy in here? Yes, that's good. So we're on Bath Road now. Don't think I'll walk too far. Just up to the terrace up the top here, Riviera Terrace, and then back down again probably to Alma Road. We'll see. Keeps you fit, these steeper slopes. So I'm beyond middle age now. Not far, but it means these kind of walks are really important for staying reasonably fit, reasonably healthy. When I get a larger van, I'll have a bike so I can cycle around a lot more. As it is though, I don't have storage space for one. It's well out of the wind here. Lovely and still and relatively warm for November. Hopefully the sun will come out a bit more today. Don't know what put the birds up there. Probably a buzzard. We obviously have the white-tailed eagles on the Isle of Wight, so it's always worth looking out for those. I love the view from up here, which is why I'm coming up here. Yeah, so although I spent most of the summer here in Ventnor, which is my hometown, living in the car, the last few summers I've spent a lot of time in Cornwall, down in Falmouth, a bit of time in Newquay. So I'm kind of nomadic, but not really. I'm certainly a minimalist, and I can certainly drive off and go and stay somewhere else at a whim, basically. The job in Dorset I'm currently doing is a little bit restrictive. I do still need to go back there once every couple of weeks. Which is fine, but yeah, I think my style of you get a lot of van lifers who travel around a lot, but I'm not that nomadic, to be honest. I tend to stay in one place for a few weeks or a month or 2 months, and then move to the next place and go backwards and forwards between those regular places, rather than I don't travel around Devon, around Dartmoor, and explore areas, for instance, whereas I do go to Falmouth and just hang out there for a few weeks or a few months, and then I'll come back here and do the same again. So I'm quite a creature of habit more than a fully nomad, full-on kind of nomad. But if you did live in a vehicle, you could be fully nomadic, especially if you managed to build up a location independent sort of lifestyle with money coming in from your own businesses you run from the road. If you can do that, or if you can find remote work, paid employed work that allows you to live a location independent lifestyle, then you could travel around a lot more in your vehicle. I choose not to do that. But this hopefully is the last winter when I'm having to be in the UK. Hopefully, so this is 2025, winter 2025-26 will be my last winter in the UK, in the temperate zone to be honest. Because from the end of next year, 2026-2027, I'm going to be living in a different lifestyle where I'll be away from the UK in winter, away from the temperate zone in winter, closer to the torrid zone, the equator, the tropics. And I just need my multiple streams of income to be in place by then to enable that to happen, so I'm not tied to the UK in employment. But for now I'm going to embrace this winter, spend some of the time here on the island. I mean, why wouldn't you? It's beautiful here in Ventnor. Look at that coombe bottom up there, hopefully you can see that in the camera. But yeah, going to make the most of this winter, and next summer as well, so I'm going to be here between Ventnor and Cornwall and Dorset and Devon up until late 2026, so I've got about a year of this before I have a fully location independent lifestyle. So let's go and carry on walking, I think. Stick the old camera back on my head and get it to mount properly. Is that mounted? No, it's not quite secured on that side. The hat is in the way, I think. That's better, that clipped into place nicely there. Right. It's lovely down there, doesn't it? So yeah, where are we now? Midday, I think. It's exactly midday, 12 o'clock, look at that. I don't think you'll be able to see the screen of the phone, but I'm just going to quickly walk down from where I came from and go and do a couple of hours of work in Tony's tea room next, I think. Tell me in the comments section if you live in a vehicle, if you live in a van or a car, or if you're thinking of doing it. Like I say, I've done it for 8 years now. Well, coming up on 8 years. 2018, February 2018, I moved into my Bilingo, and it's now November 2025. So I was during COVID, I was in the vehicle. That was fun, because the police, during the first crazy intensive lockdown, the police kept coming up to me and saying, "You're not allowed to drive to beauty spots in your vehicle, sir." I kept telling them, "Well, I actually live in my vehicle, and this is my hometown, and I'm just parked here, so go away." And they eventually got the message. But in those days, the dictatorship, which was Boris Johnson's government, trapped everybody, and I wasn't even allowed to drive my car in my hometown until they became convinced that I was telling the truth, that I did actually live in a vehicle. What's that flying over there? It's turning out to be a gorgeous day today. Very reluctant to go down quite yet to do any work. But I do actually need to remove a layer because I'm feeling a bit warm. So I'm going to go down and do that at least. So yeah, tell me in the comments section if you live in a vehicle or if you're thinking of living in a vehicle. And if you have any questions leave those in the comments section as well. But this is a pretty typical day in the life of my style of car dwelling. Do subscribe to the channel if you're not already a subscriber, and watch more of my videos, because watch time really helps to build up the channel. It's very much a nascent YouTube channel, or a kind of a beginner's YouTube channel. The intention being, so I've currently got about 2,700 subscribers, I think. Let's check on this channel. Let's have a look. Go onto YouTube Studio. That's annoying. So on my channel that's not yet monetized, I've got 887 subscribers. And on this channel, which is monetized, I've got 2,820 subscribers. When I say monetized, all I mean there is you see adverts when you're watching the videos on YouTube, and once the content creator, the person that created the video, gets 4,000 hours of watch time, so that means people have cumulatively watched 4,000 hours of one's videos plus 1,000 subscribers, then you become monetized, which basically means the person who created the video gets a share of the how much, the money that the advertisers pay to Google to put an advert on the YouTube videos. Obviously YouTube is owned by Google. So basically I'm monetized on this channel, Cornish Van Dweller, which just means I get a share of what the advertisers are paying to Google to put videos on YouTube, to put adverts on my videos. That is one little side hustle. That's one small source of income that I get as part of my video content creating adventure. And at the moment it's about £1 a day that I get. But as I build the channel, and in particular as people watch my videos more, so I get more watch hours, that's what the revenue is based on, basically. Obviously the longer this video is, the more adverts YouTube will annoyingly, or Google will annoyingly put onto my videos, and the more revenue I get. But it's only a trickle. But as I build up the channel, as I get more subscribers and more people watch my videos, the income will gradually go up, and it can be quite a good income eventually if you've got a big enough channel with enough people watching your videos. Then it does actually become a meaningful income. Obviously currently it isn't, because it's only about £1 a day. But I ought to be able to get it up to £6-7 a day over the next few months. We'll see, obviously. But that should be possible. And what kind of determines whether that happens or not is me making better videos that people want to watch more of. That's what it's down to. The quality of my videos, the more people that want to watch my videos, the more income I will get as a result. So that is all down to making good videos that people do want to watch. And then obviously my other main side hustle that I mentioned was writing books. So I write my own books and I self-publish my own books. Most people, well, I do get book sales, not very many at the moment, but most of the book sales I get are on Amazon, amazon.co.uk. That's the biggest platform. Most people, or the most book sales are made on Amazon. And hopefully, so basically at the moment I get about, so if I sell a book, one of my books for £9.99, one of my paperbacks, I get about £4.10p of that cover price. So if I sold one book a day, I'd get £4.10p a day. If I sold 2 books, I'd get, there's a lizard there on this bit of plastic, see how close I can get. If I sold 2 books a day, I'd get £8, 20p. And you can see 3 books a day, I'm close to £15, which is my lower end of my income target. To get £30, I need to sell 6 or 7 books a day. And that is not going to be that tricky, to be honest. I ought to be able to get up to selling 4 books a day, which is, 17, 18 quid income. I ought to be able to get to that relatively quickly. And certainly by the end of next year, I ought to be selling 4 books a day. So you can see really that the book sales combined with ad revenue from Google, from my YouTube channel, ought to, by the end of next year, by the end of 2026, ought to yield enough money for me to live on. So I don't need the part-time job. I don't need employment. I can just earn it all as a freelancer. That is the dream. It's not a dream, it's going to become a reality. It's something I'm working hard to achieve. Not hard enough, because the work in Dorset is quite time consuming. So I don't have the time or the headspace, to be honest, to put in as much as I want to have to my own little ventures. So the ideal scenario for freeing up time would be to save enough money in my bank account to last me the period between whenever to the end of next year. So say if I managed to save £10,000 in my bank account, I could live on that for a year between now and this time next year. And if I could live on, if I have that amount of money in my bank account and I can live purely on that, so I don't need to work, I can then put all of my time and all of my headspace into writing books and creating YouTube videos and creating online courses and building up that side hustle. That's a runway, isn't it? It's what people call a runway. Basically enough money in your bank account, enough savings that you can live on over a period during which you're building up your side hustles. So if I'm nowhere near that yet, it's probably another 4 or 5 months of paid employed work that I'll need to go through. So the winter, basically, this coming winter, I'm going to need to continue doing the job I'm doing in Dorset. Obviously that will reduce the amount of time I then need to live on. I need to rely on my savings for. If that makes any sense at all. So if, say, by next March I manage to save £10,000, say, and if my car survives that long, so I don't have to spend a few grand on a van, then say March next year I will be able to resign and just rely on the income from book writing and YouTube, and I'll have so much more time I can put into writing books and creating YouTube videos. Anyway, it is a beautiful afternoon now. I'm going to go and do a little bit of work, then I'm going to go for a walk, I think. Bit of a long walk. So it's now early afternoon. I've forsaken the external microphone, so I'm just recording into the camera microphone. You have to tell me what the sound quality is like. I'm just heading up into town now to do a bit of shopping. There's a lovely Ventnor cascade. Quite an iconic view, that. And the winter gardens. done with shopping. Have a very quick walk around the churchyard. This is St Mary's, no, St Catherine's churchyard. That's right. Lovely view of the town, Ventnor. Just seeing if there's any migrant birds in here. Can see some wood pigeons. No sign of any chiff-chaffs. Sign or sound. Very quiet, befitting the time of year. Pretty quiet. Check Grove car park down here. Quite often get the odd late chiff-chaffs hanging around here, especially if there's a tit flock in with those. Still plenty of leaves on the sycamores, or on the lower bits of the sycamores out of the wind anyway. The odd butterfly still. So I can hear one chiff-chaff. Not much feeding activity there. Gonna head back down to the bay and grab a cup of tea, I think, and do a bit of work. it's now the evening. I'm watching some Amazon Prime video and cooking a steak in the car, as you do. What we're going to have, well, it's going to be steak with some fried veggies and black bean sauce, I think. Maybe a waste of a steak, but I quite like black bean sauce. It's looking good. We now got some fried beef and or steak and fried broccoli, and it looks really good.